Hi, this is an introduction for me into the Arduino Mega2560, and as it says, it is an open source electronics prototyping platform. So let's unpack it. It's not even in anti-static plastic, so that's quite a surprise for me, because it usually is. And as it looks, this is kind of shielded. And what is this? This looks like 4 rubber knobs to put on here, I think. And this reads nothing really informative, just exactly what it says on the box. It has USB, it has a power connector and pulse width modulation connector, communications, and by the looks of it, TX, RX, it's serial, then digital connection, analog connection, power connection 3.3 volt and 5 volts, and some jumper settings, reset button, and very interesting, if you read here, it looks like it has a clock or frequency of 16 I assume megahertz, and I'll have to get rid of this glue on which this was stuck. Anyway, let's see how we can adapt and get it started, and to see if it all works with a rather new power supply on 5 volts. Let's see what happens if I plug it in. And as yet I see nothing happen. So let's plug it out again. And should it have LEDs? It has LEDs here, I think. Just experimenting. Maybe I should turn this around. Let's see what happens. And that is a better result, because right now it is on, and here is a LED blinking. So this is obviously working. So now that we have shown that the board works, it's time to hook it up to the laptop. And for that I need a cable. So I'm going to find that cable. And with this cable, gold plated connectors, it is time to hook it up. So this side is going in here. And the other side going into the laptop. Taking care that it doesn't go off camera. And for now I'm going to switch to screencast, because the rest is done with the Arduino IDE. So let's see what happens now. And so it's time to look at the IDE, and I've downloaded and installed, of course, the latest version of the IDE, which is 1.7.8. However, looking here, it says it is set up to programming port on dev TTY USB 0, and that is still from the experiments with the e-brace, which I did some time ago, and that was using a USB to serial converter cable. And now I'm not using that cable. Now I'm using a straight to USB cable, I should say, which means that the Mega2560 is a proper USB device. So I start a terminal, and with a simple command I hope to find the Arduino Mega. Yes. And so it should be as USB 2.1 or 2-1. So let's look at that. Tools, port, and look here. It says it is the dev TTY ACM 0. And it says change to TTY ACM 0. Serial monitor. What does it say? No line ending, etc. There's something going on. You sent nothing. Okay. But anyway, oh, that might be the wrong setting, 9600 baud. But let's just see what happens. And yes, I have to find everything out anew again. So with the setting correct, I can dive into how I should progress from here. And for a simple first test, I'm using a pre-written algorithm called Blink, which turns an LED for 1 second, then off for 1 second, etc. And if I go upload it, done uploading, and this works. And let me turn on the camera to show that it actually does work. And here is a little LED that burns for 1 second and then goes off. So I think that should be proof it works. However, I'm going to change it for 1 second into 2 seconds or 3. Let me do 3. So for the 3 seconds I have to change this and see that it indeed burns for 3 seconds and then goes off. Uploading, done uploading. So let's see if that works. And this same LED is indeed burning for 3 seconds, then 3 seconds off. So a simple adaptation of a pre-written program that works. So let's continue with more advanced stuff. And for this more advanced program, I'm using the button program, and the circuit is listed in here. A LED attached from pin 13 to ground. I don't have to care about that because the Mega2560 has this already done. Next line is push button attached to pin 2 from +5 volts. Now this is makes me wonder what is pin 2. Here again pin 2, so 2 things attached to pin 2. And what I found after some searching is this: a mapping table with the pin number, pin name and mapped pin name. So it turns out that pin 2 is digital pin 0 with name RX0, and RX0 is a communication name for receive, like TX is transceive. So I have to somehow connect the button to RX0 and a 10k resistor or something along this value. Also to pin 2, but then from the ground. So let's see if we can establish this. And with the circuit set, which I'll show later, I am uploading it and I get a timeout. And by searching it, it seems that I will have to disconnect the board from the USB in order to get it done. There is another solution mentioned which has to do with exclamation marks, but since I did not change anything in the code, I don't think that is the problem. So let's just remove the programmer, which is the board, and then see what happens. So I move it, back on, and select the board again. And it still receives a timeout. So this is something I have to find out and solve before I go on. And right now I have removed the earlier shown power supply and replugging in now the USB. Once again selecting the board, starting to upload again. And I once again received a timeout. So this is something that according to the messages on the internet is not quite unknown, but I will have to solve this prior to going on, obviously. And again, timeout communicating with programmer. So let's see how I can first solve this one. And if nothing helps, then find troubleshooting. And in the troubleshooting section I find the very odd solution that in case of these errors I have to disconnect anything that is connected to RX0, and RX0 is nothing else but pin 2, because as it shows that disconnect digital pins 0 and 1, and that is the whole problem here. As soon as I disconnected it, it works. Well, this is pin 2 in this case, but the RX1 was mentioned too. So I have to keep this in mind, of course. But for now, the experiment hasn't completed as yet, although it is. Let me try again. Does it work? Uploading. No, it does not, because it is connected again to RX0. I disconnect it. Let me find out again. I disconnect the board from USB. I reconnect. RX0 is not connected now. I do it again, but I have to reconnect with the board probably. Bad file descriptor. Let's do it again from start. Select example, digital button, close this, maximize tool. It's still selected. Let's see if I can upload. And it has a bad file descriptor. So despite the earlier success, I have to find out why things are going wrong, but this is part of experiments with a new board. And I'm curious to see why things happen the way they do. Anyway, this is for now concluding my experiment with the new arrived Arduino Mega2560. Thank you for watching, and of course to be continued.